She woke him with the sound of chainsaws. Imagine this. A retired firefighter, a Vietnam vet, standing on the porch of the lodge he built with his own 2 hands, watching strangers tear up his land. No warning, no permits, just a construction crew digging a trail through his backyard like they owned the place. The reason? A notice taped to his mailbox, slapped there by the new HOA president. Community development in progress. Your property is now under HOA jurisdiction. Excuse me? Enter Karen DeWitt. Leopard print heels, green smoothies, and an ego the size of the lake. Newly elected, power-drunk, and convinced that a forged boundary line gave her control over land her HOA never legally owned. She fined him $12,800, cut his internet, and installed surveillance cameras on his trees, facing directly into his kitchen. When his son, Ethan Rowe, got the call, he didn't show up as a victim. He showed up as the sheriff. And Karen? She had no idea the man she thought she could intimidate had the badge, the evidence, and the law on his side. What started as a bogus fine turned into a full-blown criminal investigation, and the truth behind Karen's community improvements would leave the entire town in shock. But let's start at the beginning. The lodge and the lady in leopard print. The air smelled like pine and brewed coffee that morning, just the way it always had. I was standing on the front porch of my dad's lodge, hand-sanded cedar, stone chimney, and a view of Lake Winnett so clear it looked like glass. My name's Ethan Rowe, 34, sheriff of Red Pine County. Grew up in these woods. Learned to fish, fight, and fix things here. This lodge? It wasn't just a house. It was my dad's soul in timber and sweat. Hank Rowe, retired fire chief, Vietnam vet. The kind of man who never asked for anything but gave everything. He built this place from scratch with his own hands and the help of a few loyal buddies from the station. It took him 10 years and every dime he had, but it was worth it. $1 million property now. Not just in value, but in what it meant. After his mild stroke last fall, I made it a habit to spend weekends out here, just to help out, clear snow, clean gutters, make sure Dad didn't try to chainsaw a fallen tree on his own again. We had our routine, bacon at 6, coffee at 6:15, fishing if the weather held. Peaceful, until she showed up. Karen DeWitt. If you've ever seen a woman in leopard print heels walking across gravel like she owned the earth under it, that's her. She'd just been elected president of the HOA overseeing the luxury development a mile down the ridge, and somehow she got it in her head that Dad's lodge, built before a single nail was hammered in that development, should fall under her little empire. You see, our property was always outside their jurisdiction. County records proved it. But Karen thought she was the law. It started with a letter. Well, not a letter. A courtesy notice. Found it in Dad's mailbox one morning next to the sports section. Your property violates HOA uniformity codes. Unapproved wood stain, unauthorized solar panels, excessive wildlife feeders. I read it twice, then a third time. My blood boiled. We weren't part of the HOA, never had been, never signed anything, never agreed to anything. I called her, calmly, thought maybe it was just a mistake. "Hi, Karen. This is Ethan Rowe, Sheriff Rowe, actually." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, honey," she said, with that sugary, poison-sweet tone. "It's cute you think that still matters. We're expanding the HOA boundary. It's about community unity." Community unity? By trespassing on private property? I swear I've dealt with cartel runners, meth cooks, and bar brawlers tougher than Karen, but none of them ever had this kind of smug confidence. Later that night, I sat down with Dad and showed him the notice. He held it like it was some kind of death warrant. The man who used to run into burning buildings was silent for a long time, just staring out over the lake as the sun dipped low. "So they think they can just take what ain't theirs?" he finally muttered. His voice cracked halfway through. Yeah, Dad. Apparently they do. And let me tell you, that was the moment I knew this wasn't going to be just another neighborly disagreement. No, this was war. And the worst part? She hadn't even stepped onto our porch yet. The bulldozer and the backyard improvements. It hit me the moment I turned off the gravel road. Something was wrong. The air didn't smell like pine or lake mist. It smelled like diesel. And when I rounded the last bend, my heart sank. Right there, on my father's land, was a full-blown construction crew. Yellow bulldozer, chainsaws buzzing, workers tearing through the southern trail like it was some forgotten ditch. Trees, oak and birch, lay like fallen soldiers. I slammed the door of my truck and stormed toward them, my boots kicking up dust. What the hell is going on? One guy, safety vest halfway zipped, didn't even blink. He held up a clipboard like it excused everything. Community path, HOA project. We're just following orders. I froze. HOA? This isn't HOA property. This is private land. But it didn't matter. They kept working, like I was just background noise. That afternoon, I walked into the HOA office. Karen was there, perched behind her oversized white desk like she was running a luxury spa, not a suburban committee. Same leopard print heels, same smug smile. A green smoothie in her hand like she was sipping on virtue itself. You don't get to build on my father's land. She didn't flinch. Oh, Ethan, she cooed. The community voted, and we all agreed the path should loop around the lake. You wouldn't want to be the reason the kids can't ride their bikes safely, would you? Seriously? This was her game? Guilt and fake concern wrapped in manipulation? The next day, my dad got hit with a $12,800 fine. Retroactive compliance, whatever that meant. And 2 days after that, we woke up to find our internet line cut and 2 HOA surveillance cameras strapped to our trees, pointed straight at our back porch and kitchen window. Let that sink in. Cameras, on our trees, watching us in our own home. We filed a cease and desist immediately. Karen responded by having a gate installed at the end of our driveway, blocking off our only road access. They were trying to trap us, isolate us, intimidate us into surrender. This wasn't about bike trails. This was a power grab. I called Sasha Chen, a local land use attorney. Smart, sharp, didn't take crap from anyone. She looked through the deeds and shook her head. They don't have a leg to stand on unless they can prove your land's under their jurisdiction, which it's not. So why are they doing this? I asked. She paused. Because they think you'll give up before you fight back. That night, my dad collapsed. Not from the stroke, from pure stress. We spent hours in the ER while machines beeped around him. He clutched my wrist, his voice barely above a whisper. It's like they're trying to erase me, Ethan. And in that moment, I swear to God, something inside me hardened. They messed with the wrong man. They messed with the wrong son. This wasn't just about land anymore. It was about everything my father had built being torn apart by someone who never earned it. Not on my watch.
I'm the law here. Karen. I wasn't just a pissed-off son anymore. I was the law in Red Pine County. And now, I was coming for answers. After Dad's collapse, I took official leave from the department. Not because I was walking away from duty, but because this was my duty. If Karen wanted to treat this like a game of power, she'd picked the wrong opponent. I strapped on my badge and got to work. No more warnings, no more courtesy calls. First stop, County Records Office. Sasha and I spent hours hunched over yellowed plats, legal filings, maps going back 40 years. And there it was, plain as day. Our land stood completely outside the HOA's jurisdiction. No annexation papers, no community vote, not a single legal line that tied our family's property to Karen's little kingdom. So, how had she done it? Sasha found the document first. Boundary Amendment 14A. A neatly typed notice, dated 6 months before Karen took office, claiming our land had been formally added to the HOA boundary with signatures from 2 former board members. Only problem? One moved to Florida 3 years ago. The other passed away in 2021. I cross-checked signatures with DMV files. Forgeries, clear as day. I could barely believe it. This wasn't some overzealous HOA president. This was criminal, federal-level criminal. I reached out to Detective Raul Martinez, a straight shooter in county fraud. We'd worked together before. Shady roofers, kickback contractors, the works. I told him what I had. He didn't even hesitate. We pulled a subpoena for HOA financials, emails, and internal communication logs. What we uncovered made my stomach turn. Karen had rerouted over $250,000 in HOA funds into a company registered under her brother's name, a landscaping outfit no one had ever seen do a single job. That trail project ripping up my dad's land? It was just a cover. Karen had used HOA funds to pay her brother through a shell LLC while charging residents for beautification initiatives. Oh, and she'd also used HOA funds to renovate her master bathroom, brand new marble tile, a jacuzzi tub, and imported faucets from Italy. It got worse. Emails showed Karen had intentionally buried notices to homeowners who challenged her. She'd jacked up dues without proper votes, sent threatening letters to seniors, even told one widow that she'd be removed from the neighborhood newsletter for non-compliance. I mean, who does that? So I went public. We held a community meeting at the church hall. It was packed. I stepped up in uniform, clicked on the projector, and laid it all out. Scanned documents, email printouts, financial trails, every dirty move Karen had made. You could feel the shift in the room. Gasps, outrage. One man cursed aloud. Another woman started crying. She'd just paid a $600 late landscaping fee last month. By the time I was done, even her own board members, the ones she'd once controlled, were nodding along, furious. Karen wasn't just corrupt. She was toxic. We filed charges that night. By Friday morning, the warrant was signed and sealed. And that afternoon, I walked up her stone pathway in full sheriff's uniform, knocked on her oversized white door. She opened it in a silk robe and full makeup, like she'd just stepped off a reality show set. I didn't flinch. "Karen DeWitt," I said, "you are under arrest for fraud, criminal trespass, forgery, and misappropriation of HOA funds." She stood there for a second, blinking like I was speaking a foreign language. And then she screamed, "You can't do this! I am the HOA!" And yeah, that's when I said it. "No, Karen, you were." You could hear a pin drop in the hallway as I cuffed her and read her rights. And let me tell you, I've arrested a lot of people in my life, but nothing ever felt as righteous as watching that woman finally face the justice she'd thought she was too powerful to fear. She tried to play queen of the neighborhood, but she forgot one thing. The sheriff lives here. Justice carved in cedar and stone, Karen's arrest hit the town like a thunderclap. By Monday morning, it was all over the local paper. HOA president charged with fraud, forgery, and embezzlement. A day later, local news stations parked vans at the end of her driveway. People watched in disbelief as the woman who once strutted through community meetings like a queen was hauled off in cuffs, red-faced and screaming. The district attorney didn't pull any punches. Multiple felony charges were filed: fraud, criminal trespass, forgery, misuse of funds. Then came the class action lawsuit. Over 40 homeowners joined,
claiming harassment, illegal fines, and intimidation. It turned out Karen had weaponized the HOA like it was her personal empire, and now the entire house of cards came crashing down. County officials reviewed every amendment she'd filed, every single one tied to our land, thrown out, labeled invalid and unlawful. The so-called annexation was dead in the water. And Karen's brother? His fake company got blacklisted. The HOA's board resigned in disgrace and was replaced by a resident-elected oversight committee. Real people, real accountability. Imagine that. But the best part? The judge's ruling came down like an axe. The HOA was ordered to immediately remove every illegal structure built on our property. The cameras, the gate, the trail. And they had to pay my dad $287,000 in damages and restoration fees. That was almost the exact amount Karen had funneled to her brother. Poetic justice in hard numbers. A week later, I drove Dad up to the lodge. The sun was just rising, slicing through the trees in golden shafts. A crew was working at the far edge of the property, dismantling the trail. 2 men were digging up the posts where the cameras had been bolted in. One of them paused when he saw Dad and tipped his cap. We didn't say much. We just watched. When the last camera came down, Dad lit a small fire near the edge of the lake. Same place we used to roast hot dogs when I was a kid. He sat there for a while, poking the flames with a stick, and then looked at me. Guess it's still my land after all, huh? I nodded. You're damn right, Dad. And that moment, that quiet, peaceful moment, was the real victory. Because here's the truth. Sometimes, people with power think they can rewrite the rules, twist the truth, steamroll the little guy and never look back. But this time, they hit a wall made of old cedar, cold stone, and a man who didn't back down. You ever feel like you're up against something too big to fight? Like your voice doesn't matter? Like you're just one person, standing alone? Let me tell you something. You're not. Stand your ground. Know your rights. And never, not for a second, believe that bullies like Karen are above the law. She thought she ran the neighborhood. But I'm the sheriff. And justice? It has a badge.